All right, today I want to talk to you guys about something that affects your business, and that may create a situation where it's difficult for you to level up, to go from that hobby to small business or micro business, or to go from that micro business into a medium-sized business. And again, when we're talking about sizes of business, I'm talking within the industry. Obviously, but we're not talking about, something the size of Coca-Cola or, Amazon or something like that. But I am talking about getting to the point to where you're making life-changing money, doing this kind of business, and making a difference in your life and the life of your family and your employees and everything else. The thing that gets in most people's way is the thing that's referred to as the region beta paradox. And what that says is that you will get into a situation where it is easier to be a small business or a micro business or a hobby than it is to be one of the other things. So you create these parameters within your business to where something is too difficult or too hard or not really worth your time or effort. So you make these excuses not to level up, not to move beyond that which would make you into a bigger business. Now, tons of different things could fall into this. It could be, making excuses for why you're not marketing correctly, or why you're not getting insurance, or why you're not doing, buying that bigger truck, or whatever it takes for you to get into the next level of the business. And what it would take. It may be a simple matter of preference. I hate doing water slides because they're always so messy and everything. But that water slides are where the money's at, where the green is at. So you creating that barrier for you to advance is making you stop in a certain place, that at a certain level, and you can't go on. If you're starting this business, and again, I'm not here to tell you how to start a business. And honestly, if you're listening to folks that are telling you how to start a business, there's no way I could tell you how to start your business, because one, I don't know what your state regulations are. I don't know what your state's climate is. I don't know what your seasons are, what your school situation is, what your children makeup of the population is, what the level of wealth is in your area. I don't know any of those things. For me to say, oh yeah, this is going to work for you, is absolutely, ludicrous, because I don't have all those variables. So if you're listening to someone that's telling you, these are the things you need to do, what you really need to be hearing is that these are the things that worked for them, and they can be good tips. But you need to do your research. You need to make sure you know what's going to happen to you, and what's going to help you grow your business. Now, all that being said, I can tell you some very basic things about the business that is going to get you to the point to where you can position yourself to level up. First and foremost is if you have less than 10 units, you're not doing enough business that you're going to create a situation where you can do the proper amount of advertising and insurance and all those things that's going to allow you to go into the next level. So basically under 10 units, and you are looking at having a hobby. Now, I don't have a problem with you having a hobby, and I don't have a problem with you making that extra, several $100s every weekend or whatever to kind of supplement your income. That's great. And if that's what you want to do, then that's awesome. But if you're trying to make this into a small business, if you're trying to make this into something that is beyond, what you're doing on the weekends, then you're kind of fooling yourself if you're looking at something that has less than 10 pieces. You can move towards that. You can start with 5 and work your way towards that. I'm not discounting anybody in your where you're at or how your growth is being achieved. But I am going to tell you that it takes a little more than just a hope and a prayer for you to be in a situation where you're a small business. You need 10 pieces, and the reason why is that 10 pieces will give you the amount of business if you are at a situation where you're 60, 70, or 80% or above of your inventory utilization, meaning those pieces are going out on a given weekend, that you're going to generate the revenue that you need to pay the bills. And that includes insurance. Insurance is going to cost you several $1,000s from the get-go. That means if you have a season that's just 10 months, 11 months, on the good side, or on the bad side, if it's shorter, you can have a bill from the start of $200, $300, $400 every month just from the insurance. Now, if you're not creating the revenue to eat that expense, then you're operating without insurance. What happens when you operate without insurance? Beyond the risk, and I'm not even going to get into the risk because we all know what the risk is, but what happens is you limit your business into a situation where you cannot get into certain venues. You can't go into a school without insurance because they're going to require it. You can't go into big businesses, corporate events, because they require insurance. You can't go into big churches because they're going to require a certain level of insurance. And this is going to be done through, certifications and asking for certificates and things like that. Municipalities have to have insurance. They have to know that you're paying your taxes. They have to know that you have a business license. So if you are not at that level to where you're renting, the 7 to 10 units a weekend. And again, I'm basing this on the fact that again, it can be different. You can get higher dollar for less units. You could be renting bounce houses for $300 or $400. I don't know your situation. I know that on average in my area, a bounce house usually runs between $125 to $175, taxes and everything included. So, when you're looking at that amount of income and the fact that it's costing you for labor and gas and automobile insurance and paying back the unit itself and all the things that go into it, from cleaner to flyers or whatever else that you're doing, time, effort, you're in a situation where those kind of things are going to eat up a lot of your initial investment or your initial money that's coming in from that. When you don't have the income coming in and it's all going out of expenses, then what you're doing is you're working for the expenses. You're not working for the business. So again, what you need to work towards is getting in a situation where you are making the amount of money that it's going to take for you to have insurance, to pay your taxes, to operate with a professional vehicle, to pay yourself and or employees to do what you need to do. You need to take all that stuff into consideration and put it into a formula or put it into a pot and find out how much it's going to cost and divide it by the amount of units it's going to take and how many you're going to have to get out in a weekend. And again, remember, it is very, very, very difficult for you to have X amount of units and to book that same amount of units every weekend, simply because people have different preferences. You may have a yellow bounce castle and someone wants a red bounce castle or a pink bounce castle, and they will go to someone else simply because you have the yellow one and not the pink one. You can't change that. There's nobody out there that can have enough pieces that they're going to fit every single preference. I have over 100 units, and I have people call me every weekend that ask me for something that I do not have. So that being said, you are not going to rent everything that you got in your inventory in most cases, unless, there's a huge wave and they're just taking everything. The other thing is that you need to be more mindful of what you're buying. Buy what you know is going to rent. Don't buy what you like, because if you buy what you like, what's going to happen is you're going to get in a situation where, again, you're creating that niche. You're creating that situation where you're in this special category and people aren't renting it. People aren't getting it because they are looking for the other things. Again, I keep going back to the water slides, but everybody knows people want water slides during the summer months in the warmer climates, and even in the northern climates. When those summer months hit, people want to have fun on a water slide, and that's part of the seasonal draw of those units. So make sure that you're doing that. If you load up on a bunch of dry units and summer is here, again, they're going to skip over you and go to the person that has the units that they want. If you pick on units that are specific, a good example is that I've seen a lot of units that are holiday specific, like an Easter bunny basket bounce or a Halloween pumpkin bounce. Those are amazing in and around the time of the holiday, but they don't do very well on any other time of the year. So a pumpkin bounce at 4th of July is going to struggle. Keep that in mind when you're picking those units. So get your 10 units. Make sure that they fit they're pretty universal as far as the theme. Make sure that they fit what the people are looking for, and be willing to do what you need to do to advertise, whether it be in-person advertising, and when I say in person, I mean you actually going on to the social media sites and put posts, making the posts, and then answering them. You can mechanize some of this. There are tons of sites out there that will help you to kind of put out posts and answer things and send them to your website and things like that. But again, you've got to have those things in place. My website will allow you to book online. If you don't have a website, if you don't have one that allow you to book online, then you're going to have to answer the phone. So you're going to have to be willing to do that work. And again, that's going to take you away from doing other things. So keep all that in mind. The way that you level up is creating the situation where you're getting out of that comfort zone and you're doing the hard things that it takes for you to expand your business. You're going to have to travel. You're going to have to go a little further out. Now, the way that you do this is that you pick that area, or if you get a call in a particular area, say it's 30 or 40 miles away from you, immediately what I do is I start hammering that area with advertising, because I want to pick up 2 or 3 more rentals in that area, so it's worth my time. And you'd be surprised, it doesn't take much. You can do a water slide in an area that's 30 or 40 miles away, and then pick up another bounce, and the bounce will take care of your cost and your expenses to getting there and back, and that'll create an opportunity for you to make the profit off the unit itself. So it's good that you kind of keep that in mind when you're looking to go outside of that area that you're comfortable in. Make it work. Do the work that you have to do to get outside of that. The region beta proxy, again, it makes it so much easier for you just to stay in your shell, and it's easy to be the top guy or girl that is level 1. That's great, and that's easy, and that's fun. The hard thing is being the little guy or girl that is level 2, meaning you've moved beyond that, and you're doing these other events, and you're doing the things that it takes. And there's ways that you can push yourself to get into those levels, and understand that you're never going to be comfortable until you're to the point where you want to be. I honestly do several thousand events a year. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true. You know, we're doing anywhere from 20 to 30 rentals every weekend. Um, on average, and then the high months, you know, I've done up to 70 in one weekend. So if you want to get to that point, you got to be prepared to get to that point. Now, again, it takes you going beyond the parameters of your level. You're going to have to get to the point to where you are going to delve into what it takes to hire employees and what it takes to have delivery vehicles that someone else is driving and what it takes for you to insure someone or have faith in someone or schedule someone or you know deal with all the issues that come along with that as well. You know, if you have an event and an employee calls in, what are you going to do? You can't push it back on the customer and stay at the level that you want to get to. You can back down and be the little guy again, because that's what will happen. You will be squashed back down to the little guy again, because people will say, well, you can't trust them to come out and do what they need to do. So, you know, we'll rent from the company that is reputable. Um, you can find, again, you can find ways for you to make sure that you're getting the job done and doing everything that you need to do, but you need to make sure that you have contingencies for all these issues that comes up.